Hey everybody, this is your host, Vinyl Man Jev of Unlikely Places Pop and Rock Radio Show. Just drank out of the wonderful Unlikely Places mug that we saw in the last video. Had actually this time I have coffee and not water, so might be a little jittery, but that's all right. Today I have Stephen Krug Jr. with me here today. Stephen, tell us about yourself. We'll get right into it. Say hi first, of course. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Perfect. We'll get in there for you. We're gonna just start it off real on a nice level line. I thought I'd make it comfortable putting a Toad The Wet Sprocket album behind me for you,
Yeah.
but we'll get right into it. What got you into music?
My dad is a songwriter and a musician, and I
Oh wow.
so there was always music in the house, and I started playing in bars with him when I was like 14. So it just kind of it was gonna happen, I think.
Yeah, it kind of leads in. You're thinking of the one thing, and then you starts to absorb the music. You're like, wait a second. I guess I'm going down this path.
Yeah, it seemed inevitable, but in a good way. You know what I mean?
That's a good thing, though. Of course. What instrument did you first learn how to play? Or I see you got a bunch of guitars behind you, but
I do. I mean, that's kind of the thing now, bass and guitar. But I actually started on saxophone and keyboards
oh wow.
originally. Like that was the first thing I did in his band. Uh, Played lots of keys, and he got me this old Alesis keyboard. That used floppy drives to like load the sounds and stuff. I wish I remembered the model because it was actually really cool. But yeah, we started doing that, doing Doors and Pink Floyd and things like that, and
Oh,
uh,
very cool.
yeah, and then playing saxophone, which there wasn't a lot of people doing that, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, awesome. And then what's let's get right into where you are currently. I know some of your solo stuff, but I wanted to ask first about your projects that people might not know because we know your solo career. We'll get into that, of course. Let's talk about The Last Glimpse first. How did that band come about?
So one of the songs we'll talk about later, the other guitarist in our band, he helped me record that, and that was kind of when we really uh, started toying with the idea of writing together. I had played bass in one of his old bands, and so we knew each other, but it wasn't until we got to the studio together that we really started talking about, well, maybe we should, do our own thing here, and we kind of created a band off the side of that mutual love of like Smashing Pumpkins and Jimmy Eat World
Oh
and
wow.
Hum and like all that kind of thing. So very 90s influenced, but which that's kind of a theme of my career really. But
Sure. And I love Smashing Pumpkins, one of my favorite bands. One of those bands, though, I love everything that they do, but I don't have enough of their albums in my vinyl collection yet. I have to get some more of their stuff, definitely, because it's a great band.
same
But
most
just,
of the CDs, but
yeah.
they have a lot of material for sure.
All right, Steven, tell us about your other project, Kronos Resistor, for us.
Yeah, so completely opposite of either of the my solo stuff or the Last Glimpse. It's a kind of progressive, extreme metal band, death metal vocals. I play bass in that band,
Oh, cool.
and really technical. Uh, we put out a couple years ago. We put out a concept record where all the songs all go together. And,
Oh, wow.
I think the first song on the record's like 8 or 9 minutes long. That kind of thing. Just really epic, kind of big stuff. But yeah, completely different than anything else I do. So
I was gonna say it must be different from the solo stuff because I listen to solo stuff. I feel like a Glenn Phillips, like folk rock, kind of
yeah,
'90s era.
I guess you have those people that are always like, oh, I love
Mhm.
everything, but I really do. Like I listen to everything. I probably
It's awesome.
weirdly listen to more metal than anything these days.
There
Even
you
if
go.
I don't write it.
Yeah, I'm one of those. I love like classic rock and classic metal, like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, any of those classic bands. Then I'm into like Black Sabbath, and then it goes from there. I'm into like Anthrax, and I like a few of the heavier stuff as well around there. And then Slipknot for nowadays is like one of my tops. But then in my music, it does not reflect. Everybody's like, "Oh, you must listen to just the Beatles," and I'm like, "I do, but I love everything," you know.
It all ends up being an influence somehow, whether it shows up,
Yeah.
obviously or not.
Yeah, I've noticed that with a lot of things, like just in general, like you could listen to something and then all of a sudden you start to play it, and somebody mentions, "Oh, you sound like this," and I'm like, I never even thought of that. I'm like sitting there, like I listen to them. I guess it bled through the fingers when I'm playing guitar or when I'm writing, lyrics out. So I get that.
Right.
And I wanted to also ask, what's your favorite band? And also, that's a good musician question. Any major influences or a favorite band that really kind of stares you in a direction?
I mean, well, we've already kind of mentioned. I mean, my favorite band is Toad The Wet Sprocket, which I'm just glad that you even know who that is because
Yeah,
people don't. And they're always surprised by that, especially if they only know me from the heavier stuff. But yeah, I mean, those guys, like I said, Jimmy Eat World, Hum, Fear Factory,
yeah.
Switch and
Uh,
Gate, so Nine Inch Nails was always a big one for me. Um, I mean, Nine Inch Nails, weirdly, is probably one of my bigger influences, only in that I was so obsessed with the idea that Trent Reznor did that mostly by himself.
mhm.
And I've always found that really inspiring. Um, and I've tried to do that, but it's definitely not as easy as he seems to make it.
Well, it's like in a weird way. It's like you listen to the songs. I kind of feel like this way with that kind of with the Beatles, where it's like deceiving how hard it is. You listen to it and you're like, I could do this. I could play these. I could, and then you go to look up the chords. You're like, I can't do this because their time signatures are way different than what I've been used to. And that
Yeah,
kind of goes with some of those. Like, if anybody's out there, like hey, it's easy to learn Primus. I don't think so.
no,
I don't know who's saying that. I don't think anybody is, but I know Les Claypool is a master at the technical arrangements. But how did you end up working with Dean Dining from Toad the Wet Sprocket? We got to get into that.
yeah. So Dean, it was a product of the pandemic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We've met a number of times, but I wouldn't say that we know each other. But it was just he posts pretty frequently on Facebook about other people. He like, hey, I helped produce this song, or I'm playing on this song, or whatever. And so a couple of years ago, he had done one of those posts, and I just decided to take a chance to reach out to him and say, hey, you know, uh, do you ever work with unsigned artists?
Yeah.
This, and he's like, well, absolutely. Like send me what you're thinking about, and I'll let you know. And so I had a couple songs that it ultimately ended up he worked on that I wanted to do. And at the time, I only had video of me playing them. We weren't even to the demo stage yet, but I sent him those videos, and he loved the songs, and so it kind of helped jumpstart my current EP, because like,
Oh
oh,
wow.
now that if this is really going to happen, I want to do what I can to make this happen. So uh,
I'm excited to hear it too.
got that going, and got him what he needed for the two songs, and he was super easy to work with and just killed it. I gave him very minimal direction, and on Oceanside, especially, he came up with adding the accordion to it, which I would have never thought to do, and it makes the song. Now I couldn't imagine it without it. So
Yeah, it's funny. Like I know Fleetwood Mac had their parts. They just released like the alternate CDs of like the major albums, and I was listening to Gypsy on Mirage, and there's bells that they took out. Now I'm hearing the alt version going, I can't unhear the bells now. So every time I hear the regular version, it seems like always like that kind of stacking effect of where they're at with that. And to me, it's kind of fun to hear these alternate takes that never made the airwaves till now. And
right.
I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to play them on my radio show because we have a license, so I can make it happen. So I'm like, Mad Wasp Radio makes this all happen, which is great. Which kind of leads me into my next question, which is, well, first I got to ask you. First, I got to ask you before I get into that. What is your favorite Toad the Wet Sprocket album, if you do have one?
Um, Overall, that I mean, it's tough, obviously, but
Yeah,
it's usually Coil.
that's
Uh,
a great album. Oh,
it's also, it seems like it's the most underrated, like the one that people don't really talk about that much, and I don't understand that, but yeah, I just love it. I mean, it's got Amnesia, which, I mean, that alone blows. That's angsty kind of shouty guy
Yeah.
is my favorite, because I'm kind of that guy too. So like anytime he gets to do that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
I'm in for it. But
Yeah, I really enjoy Coil a lot. That's one of my tops. I also really enjoy Bread and Circus. That's their first, that's their debut. That's in their intro. I always One Little Girl actually was in the radio drama that your song Oceanside was in as well, because I was just trying to write. What I did was I made a song set list first, and then I was like, I'm gonna write a story behind that. And then you sent your songs. I'm like, oh god, this even fits better. And I was in the middle of creating the story. I was like, this is awesome. So we got in somebody that's new to the show, somebody that's similar in sound, but his own thing. So it was really cool to add that in, and it just dead on hit with the story, which was really cool. Even though it was kind of a forced in, but it worked. It worked very well, and it worked with the writing of the story. But I wanted to go into that song as well. Tell us about Oceanside. What was it like to record that one? Stories behind it, stuff like that.
so I live in Illinois, but
Mhm.
I was born in California, and I've kind of always wanted to get back there. It's something that my wife and I are really keen on doing at some point, hopefully sooner than later.
Mhm.
And so the song is, I mean, loosely, it's just about that desire to get back home, get back to uh, California and the ocean. And I'm a big fan of that. So
Mhm.
and specifically, I've always enjoyed the thought of having like a beach house where you can just open the door and walk right out onto the beach. And I don't
Oh,
I
that'd be nice.
don't expect that'll really happen, but having some sort of a dream, you know what I mean? It's like
Of course.
whether that were to ever happen or not, it's just kind of about having a dream, of making that happen somehow. And
You gotta have dreams. You gotta have goals or some kind of like really out there dream just to keep you going that the music kind of reaches to. I fully agree with that.
absolutely, yeah. It's I, I get accused of writing nothing but sad songs, so it's actually a really positive song, and I, I'm glad. I'm glad it turned out the way it did. It couldn't have been better, honestly, with everybody that was involved in making that song.
Oh, plus you got to work with a hero of yours or somebody that you look up to. I mean, that's got to bring the character to the song. I mean, I worked with members of the Posies back in the day, and it brought that character to songs. And I still am in communication with John Hour a little bit, but not as much as we used to be, just with everything that went on, which of course changed. But Frankie Saragusa and I worked together a lot, and that he became a part of the radio station that we have today, which is grown in numbers. Which just as me, it was a whole thing of just me sitting in a room going, I want to call musicians and learn what I could do as a musician. And instead of just calling up, you can't just like call up random people. I remember a past guest of ours was like, it would be kind of creepy to, call up my friends and be like, I just want to talk. You gotta have a show nowadays to be able to do this. So I created something kind of similar and just having fun, but originally it was just to get over my phone anxiety, but now it's on a whole different level. Now it's become this beautiful thing where I could actually learn how other people make music, and then be inspired and write something in a similar style or something, and then be like, hey, you want to write a song together at some point? It's kind of cool to be able to do that kind of stuff.
Dream a lot about the ocean lately, about how I'd like to bury my roots and settle in the sand. I've never seen so many stars as we did the night when we swam out into the water and shook its hand. I know the chances are quite slim. I wouldn't hang my hat on them, but wouldn't it be so amazing to walk out our front door and right to the ocean every day?
your song, which I think is the title track of the EP/album, which is Sadness, Pain, or Joy. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, so this one is it's about one of my guitars. It's
Oh,
about
wow.
this Taylor that's behind me here.
Cool.
Specifically, and it's also about uh, being a songwriter and what I feel like it does for me, and probably a lot of other people that that write music, and being able to have that outlet, But yeah, I mean it's one of the more literal songs that I've written, though, just about a guitar, and it's always fun when people pick up on that,
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that song about a guitar? Like, yeah, it is. Good, very good, But yeah, uh, that was another that Dean worked on, and yeah, his contribution just again made the song, and he's got the big organ going on and everything, and
Awesome.
just it turned out really good, And it's definitely more on the, even though it's not a sad song, it's on the slow sad side, which is kind of my bread and butter. So uh, I don't know, I love it.
Relentlessly I pursue my deepest thoughts with you, till I know just what to do. I keep trying things out, writing words and chords until a song starts to form. With each new one I'll be reborn, so I keep trying things out. It's keeping me alive, letting my soul shine, even if no one else hears. I still come back here to hold you dear, until this all makes sense. Process remains the same. The wooden strings vibrate, whether sadness, pain, or joy, they all find their way out. may take a dream or two. I know we're never really through. It's the best thing we can do. So let's keep trying things out. It's keeping me alive, letting my soul shine, even if no one else hears.
I get it. I get it. Hey, it's really cool to write. See, I love when writers can take a emotion that's like a human thing, and then be able to kind of transfer it into something different that you don't expect. Because now I'm gonna re-listen to the song and I'll be like, now I get it, because I didn't hear that at first, which is cool. Because now I can actually. Sometimes it's cool to leave that kind of open ended, but it must be amazing when people do come up to you and they're like, "Hey, is this?" And you're like, "Yeah, actually, yes." Because it's the songwriter's dream, I think, to be able to transfer that message over and say, hey, yeah, you read what I was writing about, which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
Leads us into your next song, Empty. Tell me about that one.
So Empty is it's kind of two different things for me. It's lyrically it's about we have 3 kids and they're all adults now, so it's about you know that point of uh, them moving on and us moving on in a different way in a different phase of our lives. But it was also I wanted to kind of mess around with doing something in a completely different non-standard format. So there's not verse, chorus, verse, bridge, whatever.
Yeah.
There's just one verse and like not really a chorus. There's like a bridge kind of, and then a guitar solo outro. That's longer than the actual song is. So and I couldn't be happier about it, honestly. It turned out great. A good friend of mine from the area, Travis Williams, did the guitar solo. And,
oh, wow. It's very good.
And yeah, he's a phenomenal player. And that was like his first stab at it, basically. He's like, what do you think of this? And I'm like, sold. That's it.
Getting closer to being alone.
leave into the last of the songs that we have picked out, that Stephen picked out for us, and that is Observations from the 86th Floor. What a creative title. I want to hear about this one.
Yeah, so this is an older one. It's I put it out in 2011. It's on. I think it's just on my Bandcamp right now. I need to get it out on the all the streamers and whatnot. But it's actually about going on tour, and I went on my first like solo tour in '09, and it was the first time I had tried to do my own thing. I had been in a couple of original bands before that, and they closed down, and it's like, you know what, I'm just going to take some time and do my own thing. And so the 86th floor is talking about the Empire State Building. So
wow.
It was kind of like how I was feeling when I was up on the observation deck, and I played it down in the village in at the bitter end in New York, and that day, and then went up there, and it was at night, and just kind of taking it all in. And so it's kind of about that, and kind of a thank you to my wife for letting me take that risk, and put that tour together. And I didn't really make anything on it, but it was it was an adventure. And
the average musician thing. I didn't really make anything on it, but it was an adventure.
and it solidified my desire to,
there you go,
do it for real and not have a day job. But that's really an ongoing process.
what is your favorite part of the writing / recording process? Do you have like a part that you really enjoy doing?
Yeah. I'm really into uh, when everything is first kind of coming together.
Hmm.
And especially, I mean, I guess this applies more in the band sense, but um, when you're in the room and you're like just toying around with an idea
Hmm.
and it's slowly starting to turn into something, and then before you know it, you know, whoa, we're doing this right now, you know. So it's like that initial creation process is
Hmm.
probably my favorite thing above anything else, honestly, above playing shows, above, you know, recording it. Though I love the end result of all of that. Um, but that initial spark and that initial feeling when you're closing your eyes and it's going around you and you can't believe
Hmm.
you're creating that, you know, it's coming from you and your you know, the people that you're working with at the time.
Yeah, like the divine intervention of music. I know I felt that like where I sit with the guitar. I love to write all my stuff on acoustic. That's my secret. I record on electric and then I'll add acoustic parts in depending if I need it. But I write all my songs on acoustic because that is the most bare bones raw instrument guitar wise that I think you could have
Oh,
to
yeah.
really feel the emotions of the songs, and then you could build from there. That's usually been my
Sounds
thing,
good
and
on
that
the
took a while to find that.
and usually don't. It doesn't sound good, you know.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's
yeah, I tend to write on acoustic as well,
mm,
and then transfer it later, or keep it that way, depending. Like a lot of these songs, obviously, are on acoustic, but yeah, I'll move it over later. You
yeah. And then you're able to kind of be able to write, and just there's no pressure of something in front of you that you're recording. There's it's just you and the instrument that and I think that's so cool. I have one more question for you, then we're going to leave the floor open to whatever you want to mention, but any future plans for Stephen Krug Jr. at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm just started the initial demo process and of sketching out of writing some new stuff for to hopefully put out next year. Uh, Want to kind of keep this train rolling, as it were, you know. Uh, yeah, so I have this song. It's the first complete song actually that I ever wrote,
Mhm.
probably in like '92 or '93. I'm 46, so yeah.
Wow.
But I have two different versions of this song, and you know, the original one, and then a number of years later, I rewrote it musically, and you know, melodically, it's just with the same lyrics. And I've always kind of liked when people take a song and put two different versions of it on an album, and
Mhm.
it's done that, you know, that kind of thing. Beatles have done that, so and so that's kind of where I'm going with this next release. Hopefully, it'll be a full album, but you know, even if it's another EP, I'm cool with that. But having these two versions of the same song that are completely different from each other, kind of being, you know, I'd probably start the album with one of them and then put the other one in the middle somewhere. But and then the other stuff that I have quite a few songs that are you know, itching to get out like their friends got to. So I definitely want to try to get some more of that stuff done. So that's definitely where I'm at.
Well, thank you for coming on. Anything you want to say to the audience before we end the recording today?
Uh, just thanks for checking me out. Just like you said, Stephen Krug Jr. Well, I guess you look for Stephen M. Krug Jr. I put my full name in, like I said, because my dad is a artist as well, and
Ah,
though he doesn't actually have anything out there right now, but he plans to. So I wanted to leave him, you know,
nice.
the chance to have his own name out there instead of mine. So, um, but yeah,